The famous genius, the man of science, a mathematician, a physicist, a philosopher, an alchemist, an author, the father of calculus, a theologian. Isaac Newton. A list of the most influential people of all time wouldn't be complete without Sir Isaac Newton. Newton's laws are tied to almost everything we see in everyday life. They help us understand how cars work, how baseballs move, how anything moves. He was born on January 4, 1643. By his mid-20s, Newton had already invented calculus. He carved his sundial as 9 years old. When he was 12, he enrolled at a local grammar school. His signature can still be seen by a widow seal of the King's School today. He entered the University of Cambridge in 1661, paying his way by working as a valet. Although he studied the works of the ancient Greek philosopher, he questioned their theories, writing in his notebook in Latin. Plato is my friend, Aristotle is my friend, but my best friend is truth. He vowed to find the truth regarding scientific experimentation. He received his bachelor's degree in 1665. The pandemic forced Newton to work his childhood home for the next 2 years and would lead to his most amazing breakthrough. He used a prism to discover the white light and sunlight is made up the colors of rainbow. The widely held belief at the time was Aristotle's theory that color was a mix of black and white. To prove his theory, Newton built a reflecting telescope that used mirrors rather than lenses, leading to more accurate images. Outside the family home was also an apple tree, the famous apple tree legend, prompting him to think about gravity, the force that brings things down. There's no evidence to suggest the fruit actually fell on his head, but he did ask the question that helped unloading our understanding of the universe. Could the same force reach all the way to the moon? The mathematics at that time wasn't sophisticated enough to determine the motion of this object, so Newton invented his own form of calculus. He was a workaholic. Sometimes he'd forget to eat. Just 2 years later, while still in the mid-20s, he obtained one of the most prestigious academic posts in the world, the location professor of mathematics, held by none other than Stephen Hawking. Yet he was indifferent to his student. In 1687, he published his masterpiece, The Mathematical Principles of Natural Philosophy, often referred to simply as Principia, one of the most important works ever written. This was his own first edition copy. It was here that he laid out his law of universal gravitation as well as his 3 laws of motion. Newton may be considered one of the greatest scientists the world has ever known, yet he actually contributed more words to theology. Newton believed the Bible provided a code to the natural world, and by carefully studying the holy text, he could predict the future. He believed the apocalypse would happen in year 2060 with a caveat. It may end later, but I see no reason for its ending sooner. Newton also had another unknown side to him. He spent 25 years secretly studying alchemy, the search for a method to turn common metals into gold. Alchemists believed it could even help humans achieve immortality. Unfortunately, Newton may have gotten mercury poisoning from the time spent in the laboratory. Examinations of his hair after his death found high levels of the toxic compound, which scholars believe could explain his mental breakdown in 1693, when he lost grip on reality. The personal crisis lasted a year and a half, not too long after he ended his 30 years career at Cambridge. In 1696, he moved to London to help run the Royal Mint. Newton used a scientific precision to improve the accuracy of coin-making as warden and then master of the mint. He also took it upon himself to prosecute culprits, some of whom ended up hanging from the gallows. His later years would be spent further cementing his reputation, and sometimes that means trying to erase his rivals from the history books. A complicated man, remained reclusive yet desperately wanted to be remembered, who threw himself into his work at the cost of all hobbies and never married. Newton died in his sleep on March 20, 1727, and was buried in Westminster Abbey. The Latin inscription on his grave reads, "Here lies that was mortal of Isaac Newton. His immortal legacy continues to mold our modern world." The English poet Alexander Pope was so moved by Newton's accomplishments, he wrote the famous epitaph, "Nature and nature's law lay hid in night. God said, 'Let Newton be,' and all was light."